Good evening and welcome. This is a meeting of the Special Education Advisory Committee of the Halton District School Board for Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. First, we will start with a roll call to record who is in attendance. Please answer yes or present. Kate Lombacher, Association for Bright Children.
Present.
Amanda Winch, Autism Ontario.
She's going to try and attend, but she will be late.
Thank you. Jennifer Laguerre, Autism Ontario.
I'm here.
Yelena King, Center for Diverse Learners.
I'm here.
Sierra Kernick, Community Living Burlington. Melissa Dockeray, Easter Seal Society.
Hi, I'm here.
Sophia Siddiqui, Halton Down Syndrome Association. Aaron Spruill, Voice.
Present.
Kaisa Klassen. Okay, Kaisa just joined. Katie Schleifer, myself, here. Tara Conley.
Present.
Naveed Ahmed, trustee. Trustee Oliver. Trustee Zhang.
Good evening, everyone.
Trustee Baxter has sent her regrets. Superintendent Ruddock.
Good evening.
And Principal Spruin.
Good evening, everyone.
And we have Kevin from Communications. And I think that's it. So we have quorum. Now we will begin our meeting by honoring the land. We begin by acknowledging the land and our responsibility to care for and respect all that provides us with life. This land upon which HDSB is situated is on the ancestral treaty and title lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Mishizagwig Nation. Sorry, guys. Mishizagwig Nation, now known as the Mississaugas of the Credit. Mishizagwig territory in the past and present continues to host both Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. The HDSB is committed to continuous knowledge building with respect to actions that address and resolve the ongoing impacts of colonialism. We do this by learning and understanding the true history, treaty obligations, duties and responsibilities, and Indigenous rights while actively maintaining mutually beneficial relationships and collectively respecting and caring for the land. So first for tonight, we will approve the agenda for tonight's meeting. Would anyone like to move a motion to approve the agenda?
Aaron Spruill will.
Thank you, Aaron. Would anyone like to second this motion?
I can, Jennifer.
Thank you. Are there any modifications or amendments that need to be made to the agenda? If so, please indicate your wish to speak, raising your hand. Okay, is there any opposition to the agenda as it stands? If you oppose the agenda, please indicate that now. None being seen, the agenda is approved unanimously. Next is the approval of our March 26, 2025 meeting minutes. Are there any errors or omissions? All right, none being seen, would anyone like to move a motion to approve the minutes?
Sure, Aaron Spruill will do it.
Thank you, Aaron. Would anyone like to second this motion? Okay, thank you, Melissa. Is there any opposition to the minutes as recorded? If so, please indicate that now. All right, none being seen, the March 26, 2025 meeting minutes are approved unanimously. So now we're going to start our action items for the evening. We will start with a presentation from the Center for Diverse Learners, and we'd like to welcome Carolyn.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for including me in your meeting tonight. I was so honored when Yelena asked me to come and do a presentation about our organization and the work that we do in Halton supporting diverse learners. If you give me just half a second, I'm going to share my screen and I'll run through a presentation for you. Okay, as mentioned, I'm Carolyn Rankin-Booten. I'm the Executive Director at the Center for Diverse Learners. Our mission is to support and empower neurodiverse learners through advocacy, education, and services so that individuals with diverse learning needs are valued, included, and empowered. Our vision, we aim to build a world where individuals with diverse learning needs are included, empowered, and celebrated. Our goal is a world where our organization isn't needed and where every student automatically gets the help they deserve. A little bit of background, if you're not familiar with our organization, we began all the way back in 1967 as the Learning Disability Association of Halton, then became Halton Hamilton, and then became the Center for Diverse Learners to be more inclusive. Our programs are designed to help students learn on their own terms in ways that work for them. In the short term, we teach students and parents how to advocate for their rights in the classroom. In the long term, we want to make sure that they don't have to. Who do we serve? So we work with the neurodiverse community, and just today I was at an event and someone said, I have no idea what that means. So when we use that term, we mean individuals with diagnosed and undiagnosed learning disabilities, ADHD, level 1 autism, associated mental health, social, emotional, and executive functioning struggles. We acknowledge that there are systemic barriers to accessing diagnosis for the families we serve. Thus, we do not require a diagnosis of learning disability, ADHD, or ASD to access our services. And when we use this term, we don't do gatekeeping, meaning really when we're looking at our services, we want to serve students we can help. And that's really how we decide who we can serve is, can our programs benefit this student? How we serve. So there's three main ways that we serve the community, and I'm going to go into more detail about all these programs in just a minute. We have our academic programming, which is our Leaps in Literacy, Mastering Mathematics program, and our individual intensive program. We have our mental health and social well-being programs, which is our social learning program, which teaches social skills, executive functioning, and our new homework health program that I'm excited to talk about. And we also work within the community. We do community training, we provide parent support in the schools, and we also do monthly workshops to help educate parents and the community about neurodiversity and inclusion. So I'm going to get into a little bit about our programming. And one of the most important things I want to get across is when you're offering programming, there's always going to be barriers for families to participate. So if tonight I'm talking about a program that you know students might be interested in, or that you want to share this information with schools, for our registration, it's always very easy. It's on our website and it's one form that families can fill out. But even though that's just 2 steps to registration, we know that sometimes still there can be barriers for family and they may require more support. If you have a family that you know would benefit from our programming, but may need more support registering, may need that one-to-one support, please give us a call or send us an email, and we're happy to work with that family to make sure that students who most need our support can get registered. So we'll start with our Leaps in Literacy, which is a small group reading program designed to provide early literacy intervention. It's currently being offered in 8-week program seasons, but next year our program will run October to May to offer more consistent support to families. We were finding that the 8 weeks wasn't often enough and many families were re-registering, and then we'd have these breaks in between our program seasons which weren't benefiting the students. So next year it'll be continuous from October to May with the natural breaks at Christmas and March break. Our educators in this program are trained in scope and sequence. This program is steeped in phonological awareness. We want our students to have more of those core reading skills that they need to succeed. The students are all assessed at the beginning and the end of the programming, and we use that assessment data to group them appropriately. So students are with age-appropriate peers and skill-appropriate peers. And this is so beneficial because students who often consistently feel behind now see other children their same age who are roughly at the same skill level. And this alone can help students boost in confidence. So this is for students in grades 2 to 8 who meet our mandate. And like I said, that's students with diagnosed or undiagnosed neurodiversity. Where do we offer this? We offer this a lot of different locations to best meet our community. So we offer it at our main center, which is the Rotary Youth Center off of Guelph Line near New Street. We offer it through the Oakville Public Library at the White Oaks branch. We offer it at the Milton Community Resource Center, right in the heart of Milton. At Kiwanis Homes, we have this wonderful meeting room in Hamilton that's in one of the highest needs areas. We offer it through the Boys and Girls Club of Hamilton Halton, at the Rock Surrey location, which is in Aldershot, Halton Hills Public Library, and we offer it online. It opens in August, and the most exciting part is this is free for families. Thanks to the Halton region and United Way, this program is free for families. Previously, this program was offered hybrid, meaning some families paid and some families would apply for subsidies. But when we looked at the demographic data, one of the things we were seeing is that a lot of quote unquote or self-identified middle-class families who would have qualified for subsidies weren't applying. And so thankfully, because of United Way in the Halton region, we're now able to offer this program free to all families. This leads into our Mastering Mathematics program, which is very similar to our literacy program, but it is focused on multisensory math instruction. And same as Leaps in Literacy, we're going to be offering it from October to May to offer more consistent support. All of our educators complete 21 full hours of training in multisensory math. So they're really prepared to help these students see math in a different way. And again, like our literacy program, they're assessed and they're grouped based on age and skill. This is for students in grades 2 to 10. We extended our math program a little bit older grades because so many students in grades 9 and 10 are struggling with their math. This is offered at our main center, Kiwanis Homes and Boys and Girls Club in Hamilton, Rock Surrey location, Halton Hills Public Library, and online. And again, this program, thanks to our funders, is completely free for families. So if you're seeing this and you're thinking of students who would benefit for this program, please feel free to reach out. Sometimes I know that families need more support to get registered and need to build that trust. If their child has been struggling in school for a long time, sometimes it can be hard to sign up for something completely new. Sometimes families are afraid of judgment, or they're just overwhelmed and the whole registration process can seem scary. We're there to help families through that process, because if we have a family where they're overwhelmed, that's probably a family who can most benefit from our program. We also offer individual intensive programming. So this is done a full year. This is one-to-one instruction. This is for students throughout their educational journey who need tailored intervention. This is offered at our main center and online. This program does come at a cost for families, but it can often be a great fit for families who need that one-to-one support and do have the means to afford this tutoring. Now I'm going to get into some of our social well-being program. So our social well-being is a small group instruction. It's game-based practice on social interactions to help develop friendships, positive social emotional behaviors, active learning, and effective communication. Currently, this is being offered in 8-week program seasons. Next year, we're adding a week. We want to give students the opportunity to even deepen the friendships that they start, because that's one of the benefits of this program, is that students are able to practice these social skills and then make real life friendships through this program. So this would most benefit students in grades 3 to 12. This is offered at our main center in Hamilton through Kiwanis and online. There is a cost for this program. However, especially if you know the family would benefit for a subsidy, families can absolutely apply for subsidies for this program. We don't want finances to get in the way of the child who could use this program. We also have our executive functioning program, which is small group instruction on study skills and development. It's taught with direct instruction. So it's giving them those students the skills and the way that they can best learn. Again, this is going to be taught in 9-week blocks next year. And again, the students are assessed and grouped on age and skill. This is such an important part of the programming that we offer, is that students get to meet other students who have the similar struggles that they do. So many times we meet students who have such a sense of isolation because they truly believe they're the only ones who are struggling. So getting to meet other students like them really can be almost life-changing for our students. Who would most benefit? This is for students who are slightly older in grades 6 to 12. And this is offered at our main center, Kiwanis, and online. This is there is a cost for this program, but again, like I've been saying, families can absolutely apply for subsidies. And that subsidy application isn't onerous in any way. We also have our homework health program, which I'm really, really excited about and excited to share. This is a new program that in Halton is currently being offered at Glen Abbey Library and White Oaks Library. So this is a free drop-in program. Students can access a healthy snack, get homework support, and have access to youth mental health workers on site. And this is offered twice per week per location. And so this is for neurodiverse teens. Again, though, because this is a drop-in program, we don't ask students any demographic data. If a student feels they can benefit from our program, then they get to come. So this is offered in Hamilton at that Kiwanis site, which is 6 Acorn Street. I know that I'm speaking with Halton, but if you're ever looking for Hamilton resources, that's right in the heart of Hamilton at King and Sanford, such a high-need neighborhood. And then in Halton, it's offered at Glen Abbey Library Mondays and Wednesdays from 3:30 to 5:30, and White Oaks from 3 to 5. Students can come and go as they please. Because we're dealing with neurodiverse teens, a lot of times we have kids who come for 15 minutes the first time, then 30 minutes, and then some who are staying for the whole time. This, again, thankfully, because of United Way and the Ontario Trillium Foundation, there is no cost to this program. Something I'm really excited about is our parent support. Parents in Halton can access free resource support, and that means different things to different families. So specialists will review their IEP, their psych eds, and make recommendations. If needed, we will attend meetings to help support what I call effective advocacy, which means it needs to be advocacy that is collaborative, where we're working together with the same goal, which is to help our students. And sometimes parents need support in how to effectively advocate, and we provide that. And we also offer monthly workshops for families to attend virtually. And we get a lot of feedback about the virtual being very nice for families, because if you have a neurodiverse child, it can be really difficult to get childcare. So we want to make it so that families who need the support can get the support. We also do community engagement through this and through this resource support. So who can benefit from this? This is families, caregivers with neurodiverse children. And again, like all of our other programs, there's no gatekeeping. No diagnosis is required. Families can just call us up, book an appointment right on our website. And the support can be virtually and in person. And this is funded through the Halton region. And again, and I can't emphasize this enough, if there are families that need more support to sign up for this, even though it's just go on our website and book an appointment, that can be overwhelming if you're booking 6 other appointments for your child. So if you know someone who needs this support and maybe they aren't going to reach out first, I'm always happy to have a meeting where all of us are present so that we can help that family get into the fold and get the support that they need. We also do community training. This is where we go to organizations and we provide training on being more inclusive to the neurodiverse community. We do this virtually and in person, and the cost is variable depending on need. Currently, we have funding through the Hamilton Community Foundation to work with organizations that serve Hamilton or both Hamilton and Halton to provide this training for free. The idea of this training is that community organizations have a lot on their plates right now, and the needs of our community are increasing. But I know community organizations want to be more inclusive, but often don't know how. This training is not designed to completely change everything an organization does. It's about using universal design in the way that simple things are done, like a registration form, to be more inclusive. And that is it for my presentation tonight. Thank you so much. Is there anyone who has any questions that I can answer?
Thank you so much, Carolyn. That was really informative. I personally know people who have used the parent support for effective advocacy, so that's great to see that as a reminder up there. And also, I love seeing the community training. That's wonderful. So I'd just like to thank you and again, put it out there. Does anybody have any questions for Carolyn? I had one point of clarification, Carolyn. You said free for families, and then later in the presentation, you said families/caregivers. I assume there's no difference, like for some of your free programs.
Yes. So when we use families, we use that term inclusively of families that are non-traditional, meaning a caregiver, guardian, also free for them as well.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions for Carolyn?
Hi, Carolyn. Thanks so much for that presentation. I know in the past when we've had tutoring funding from the ministry, we've partnered with CDL to offer summer programming. I'm just wondering, I know that those funds are no longer being provided by the ministry, but wondering if your organization is offering any summer programming. I noticed most of it looked like it was happening during the school year, and so just that might be an interest for others.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the answer is our free programs are not available during the summer as per our funding agreements. So when we get grants, our funding is for the school year. However, our individual intensive is running this summer. And one thing we're hoping to have, and I would be happy to share information along with Yelena when we've got it more complete. One thing we are going to be offering this summer is our Friendship Club, which is drop-in socialization time for neurodiverse children. And then the parents will have a peer support group in the basement of our organization so that they can get the support they need while they know that their children are being well taken care of upstairs. But our academic programming, as per our funding agreements, doesn't operate over the summer.
Great, thank you. And just on the note of your funding arrangements with your partners, just kudos to you for the work that it takes to get those grants and to make it so accessible for families. That's truly amazing work. So thank you.
Thanks.
I have an additional question. What is the difference you had for some of the costs, members versus non-members? What would that look like?
Yes, so there is a $50 membership fee, which if you've noticed is covered in the cost. So if you become a member, it's the exact amount that's deducted. That means there's a benefit if you sign up to be a member, if you sign up multiple sessions during the year. So if you did social skills all 3 sessions, there would be that added benefit of becoming a member.
Thank you. All right, well, it doesn't seem like we have any other questions for Carolyn, so thank you again for coming to speak with us. And with that, we'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much for the time tonight. I really appreciated it. And if anyone does have any questions, or if you're anything like me and a question hits you at 3 a.m. in the morning, please feel free to send me an email. I'm happy anytime to meet and answer questions, though not necessarily at 3 in the morning, but anytime I'm always available. And I know questions might come up as you interact with a student who would benefit from our program. So thanks again so much for making the time for me tonight, and I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you. All right, we will now move on to action item 2.2. It is a web accessibility presentation by Trustee Jinyi. If you are ready, Trustee, we will get started on that.
Okay, let me see. I need to share my screen. Oh, it looks like there's some problem to share the screen. Oh, okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, hello everyone. Today we will talk about a little bit about the web accessibility. Probably you already hear about web accessibility. This is usually for the visually impaired users. And this is a presentation that gives basic ideas about web accessibility and what it is and what we need to pay extra attention in the web design. There will be a little bit web development technologies involved in this. We will cover in this presentation, but basically this is not a tech talk, so don't worry about technology. So first, let's look at the accessibility around us. So the first picture is a Go station. It has an accessibility platform, so it's convenient for the accessibility users, for wheelchair users. And the second one is a bus, a public transit system. So this is accessibility space. So it's easier for the again, it's easier for the wheelchairs, strollers. And so for a lot of bus in Halton region, we have the accessibility features like low floor and kneeling capability and the ramp. So it's easier for the users. And the third one, this is a picture from a subway station in Japan. So we can see the tactile paving in. So this is for the vision impaired users. So for them to easy to go in the subway for their safety in the subway station. And we can see a lot of features, accessibility features around us, but each feature has a for different type of user. And then let's see the banknote. This is a Canadian banknote. And so 3 pictures. The first picture, we can see this is a large and a contrast number. So this is easy to see the number, and this is even, this is high contrast. This is required for accessibility. And the second picture, we show the different banknote has different face values. We have distinct color to easy identification of the banknote and their face value. We don't even need to look at the number. We just use the color to identify what the face value is. And the third one is a tactile feature. So around the Canada, you can see the text Canada. You can see the dots that for the tactile for the accessibility user. They can just use a touch to instead of to look at the banknote. And there are many type of sensory disability. So we can, it has sight and hearing, touch, smell, taste. A study shows that 95% of the information around us come from sight and hearing. Vision impairment has a significant impact for information gathering. Web is a good example. For vision impaired users, alternative methods are needed, and designed specifically for web accessibility. Now just let's look at the web. When we talk about web accessibility, we need to look at what is the basic structure and the element for a typical web page. So this is a HTML, HDSB web page. So on this page, we can see the navigation menus on the top. So in the web page header area. And then we can see the heading. So new to Halton, that's the heading. If we use when we use the Microsoft words, we know for the content document hierarchy, we have heading 1 to heading 6, different level of headings. And on the web page, we can see the input box, drop-down menus, and different sections. For example, the left side and in the middle, the main content, and on the right, so different sections. And most important, that's the text content. So it presents information that the user needs, and we want to present all the information through the text content. And then links, buttons. Links buttons are interactive elements on the web page, and images, and the list. So on the right side, we can see the list. So for each elements on the page, it follows the specific structure, and the different structure and has a different meaning. For example, the header, footer, and the menu, it has a different. So for us, we already know what it means and how we use it, those menus, or other interactive elements like the buttons, links. But for the accessibility users, they need to know this is a link. This is not just a text content. So we need to differentiate different content and different elements. This is interactive or not interactive from the web page. And very important on the top left of the image and on the tab, the browser tab, we can see the page title. And the page title, usually people forget to set page titles. And the page title is specifically useful for the accessibility user, because when we navigate from one page to the other page, we must tell user which page is on. It could be the user click a wrong button, go to a wrong page. So this web page must be, the web page title must be announced to let the user know which page you are switching to. Now it's currently displayed in the browser. And for the web accessibility, there are several requirements. So most important is screen reading, because vision impaired users, they cannot just read the web content. They cannot read content. They don't know what is the page structure and even the menu, how many menu items are presented on the web page. They don't know. And then we need to have a screen reading. The screen reading, first we need to read the page title, tell the user which page is displayed in the browser. And then for the different content and the different interactive elements. For example, this is a link. The link has certain meaning, or if there's a button, the button can be just a go to next page, or it complete financial transaction. So this is the button and the link. For us, we know it has a different meaning. Usually the link is just for navigation, and the button has a transaction. So even this is a interactive elements, we must tell the user, the web accessibility technology must tell the user what type of interactive element it is. There are many screen readers in the market. JAWS is most popular these days. And even before we have solid web accessibility technologies and the industry standard, JAWS already provided the web reading some capability for the accessibility users. And on the iOS, now the popular mobile devices like the iOS, iPhone, and the tab and the MacBook, or the Android devices, tablets, and Android phones. So we have the mobile browser. We also have the screen readers. On iOS, we have VoiceOver, and on the Android, we have TalkBack. And for all these screen readers, they provide similar features. Even they may announce the elements in a different way, a slightly different way, but the basic requirements, they all announce clearly what is the instruction. For example, the user can click a button, they can push a button, or they can navigate to the next screen. So all these screen readers has the capability to announce that in a different way, slightly different way. And keyboard accessibility. So if we just read, for example, let's look at a web page. So we can read the paragraph by paragraph, line by line. But for the accessibility user, they need to navigate paragraph by paragraph using the keyboard. So we have the up and down button at the left and right. So all these buttons on the keyboard, it provides the ability for the accessibility user to navigate through the web content. This is not just we go to a new page. It's just not read the entire page. Usually, the user need to use the keyboard to read the next line or next paragraph. And there's another kind of keyboard accessibility is for interactive elements. If a web page has multiple buttons, multiple links, and we use the tab key, this is industry standard. User can use the tab key just to go to the next interactive element without reading all the other text content. Or the user can use the control or the shift and the tab key to going back in the reverse direction. So this is the keyboard accessibility. For the industry standard for web accessibility, all the announcement of the button, interactive elements, and the web content, text content must keep the very clear instruction. So, for example, on a button, the screen reader must say this is a button, and announce a button to differentiate with other interactive elements, and tell user can click. It can say you can click, or if there's a link, the link can navigate inside the page or go to another page, open another window. So the screen reader should tell the user this link can open a new window. So this is an announcement. All the instructions and what action what behavior is expected must be clearly announced by the screen reader. And for the web accessibility, there's something special. For example, zooming, and font size. So, for example, if we can see a lot of books, printed books, it has a large print. So for seniors, maybe they need the large print. And for website, we can also do the large print. In the browser, for example, in the Chrome browser, we can set in the settings. We can set the browser the font size to very small, very small, or large, very large. Once we change the font size settings on the web page, we can see the font size actually changed, but it's only changed the font size, not changed the images. This is different to the zooming. If we use hold the control key and use a mouse to scroll up and scroll down, then we can see the page is zooming in, zooming out. But if we do the zooming in, zooming out, the entire web page content, including the text and the image content, they all change the size. But for the font size change in the browser setting, it only changes the font size. It doesn't change the size of the images. Let's look at an example here. This is a National Post webpage. So one is using very small, and the other one is large. This is the same page and same content. We can see it's different, like published. This is it displayed in different size. I just changed the browser setting. But after that, it's just below the content, you can see the image, a picture there. The picture, the size has no change. because for accessibility users, they need to read the large print, and so usually for the pictures, they don't need to enlarge it. So that's the feature for the very important accessibility feature for large print. And we already know the common page structure and the layout. And just let's look at how the page is structured. All the web pages are authored in the computer code called HTML, the hypertext markup language. In the computer code, all the elements are placed up, down, and the left, right. This is the same size, same order, same sequence, like we read the newspaper or the read book. And the visual order, every element, every section has a visual order. And this order also, this visual order also follow the computer code order in the computer code. That's the same order. And there is some special sequence for placing the elements. One is the sticky or the floating elements. So on the web page, the lower right corner, you can see this is the CRA website. CRA website has a chat function. So the chat function has a sticky flowing object displayed there. So when we scroll the page in the CRA website, this icon, this small image, or this division, this section is always displayed in the same place. It's a sticky. And sticky elements and or floating elements give the web accessibility a lot of challenges, because when user use up and down those arrow keys or the tab keys to navigate the page to one section to the other section, but the floating elements is outside of this sequence. This is above the sequence. It's outside. It's just look like outside of the page. So when we design, if we want to enhance the accessibility features, we need to see how to design these accessibility for the sticky elements. If the sticky elements is required, maybe on the web page we design some alternative for this feature, specifically for the accessibility users. And also let's look at the lower left corner. These are the custom elements. So I compare these different elements. We can see the radio button and a checkbox. And in the checkbox, we can just tick each checkbox. This is by default. And on the right side, you can see this is a custom element. On the left, you can see a button, and on the right, you can see the primary, secondary. This is a custom button. So the custom elements provide a better visual effects, but for the accessibility, it may not follow exactly what it is, because for checkbox, radio button, and button, the screen reader know it is interactive elements, so it will announce those elements properly. But if we have custom elements, the screen reader may not know what it is, because this may not follow exactly the accessibility best practice. So when we do the web design and design the custom elements, we need to pay more attention to add accessibility feature to those custom elements. Otherwise, the screen reader cannot read it properly, and the user will feel difficult to navigate and operate on these buttons, custom elements. All web pages are also using the computer programming language called HTML. Traditionally, we have the HTML. It's just called HTML. The HTML, we have on the web page, we have the divisions, buttons, and A means anchor. That's a link. So for buttons, anchor, that's the link. So the screen reader knows what it is. It can announce properly. But for the division, it just define a block on the web page. The screen reader just say this is a section or something. It does not have a specific meaning. Now the technology, we have the HTML5. In HTML5, HTML5 introduced the most semantic elements. For those semantic elements, it has special meaning. For example, we have the article, detail, header, footer. For those elements, and the screen reader know what it is, so it will tell user this is now the mouse or the focus is in the header section, or this in the footer section, or now it is reading the detail of the page or one article of the page. So this is all these elements have special meaning. So screen reader will read it, announce those elements accordingly. So on the right side, I show there's a typical web page structure. So it shows header, footer, nav. That means in the nav tag, we can put all the navigation menus. This is for the web page menus. And because we put that in the nav tag, so the screen reader knows this is for the navigation. It will say this is a navigation menu. So there's how many menus? This is menu 1, menu 2, menu 3. It will read the menus. And in the header, it knows this is a header. Usually this is a header just for information or some logos there. And on the footers, yes. So if the screen reader reads the footer, so the user already know this is on the bottom of the page, at the bottom of the page. And there's another element. For example, the section. Section is just a generic section, like before in HTML, using div to identify a block of the screen. So the section is just a generic block of the content on the screen. Main means this is the main idea of the page. So if the page we want to present some main ideas, it must be included in the main section. And there's article. Article means this is a shared component. So a lot of shared content, we can put that in the article section. So these content can be shared on multiple pages, so across the website, or like the notifications and the alert, something like that. And aside, usually this is for sidebar. So because all these tags, they have the specific meaning, and so screen readers, once the screen readers move the cursor or the focus into those sections, the screen reader will read accordingly and read the meaning. So we notice header or aside. This is the basic structure using the HTML5. And there's another thing we already covered that, talk about that. This is about the font size. So the font size, traditionally we use pixel. So we know on the cell phone, we know that the cell phone, the screen dimension, and we know the size in pixel. Also, when we have a new computer, we need to adjust the screen resolution, use pixel. But on the web page, we can use pixel to define the size of text or an image. For accessibility, we will recommend to use REM to replace all pixel. REM is a relative size of the relative size of the web content or an element. So using that, user can easily set just to change the font size in the browser settings, and the font size will change accordingly and will not break the entire page. And there's ARIA attributes. So ARIA attributes, this is a more technical thing, because for a specific content on the web page, if we want the screen reader to provide extra information, for example, there's a pop-up. We need to tell the user there's a pop-up, how to use the pop-up, how to close the pop-up. Maybe we can use the additional information, use the ARIA tag. ARIA attributes tells the user, tells the screen reader what extra information we can use, or it can provide a role of the of an element. A row means, for example, there's a button is a row, a link is a row. If we design some custom elements, we can assign rows to those custom elements, so the screen reader knows what it is. And for best practice, an accessible website should reduce the floating elements and the sticky. So this is because those elements are out of normal sequence of web content, web elements. So because it's not in the normal sequence and the screen reader, it's very hard to navigate, to locate those elements. Okay, so this is the industry standard. The industry standard called the Web Content Accessibility Guideline, WCAG. So the WCAG is not technology specific. It just provided how the screen reader should behave. So this is like all the guidelines and to tell the web developer or even the screen reader designer how to provide the screen reader. So this have different category in this guideline. For example, for text alternative captions. Text alternative, usually this is for the images. If this image, people don't know that cannot read the image directly, just use the text alternative to tell what the image is. And adaptive, thus we need to have identify the input box. So we need to tell this is the input box, and this is interactive elements. Distinguishable, that means the resize, color contrast, and the image or hover. So because when we navigate the mouse or the focus from one element to the other element, there's a focus effect. So distinguishable will tell the user this is on hover elements. And the keyboard operatable. So once we go to move the mouse to move the cursor on an interactive elements, it should tell how to use the keyboard. And navigate. So the page title and the focus sequence is also very important, and the headings. So we talk about the headings. So on our webpage, we have the heading 1. And the heading 1, just like we organize the content in the Word documents. Heading 1 to heading 6, we must strictly follow the hierarchy. Otherwise, it will break the structure of the page, and people will misunderstood the page structure. And the last thing is we need to reading level. So for web pages, this reading level, we must know most users, if this is make it easy to understand. And the error identification, sometimes when the website pop up errors, the error message must be very clear and tell user what is the next to do. Many times when we enter a username or password, it will tell you that the password is very short. And short, you should correct the password. And so once it's correct, it'll tell you it is corrected. So the error message is removed. So all these things we need to use. These are the web design techniques specifically for the accessibility. Okay, that's basically the basic ideas. Any questions? Welcome.
Thank you so much, Trustee Zhang. Really appreciate that. I think for a lot of people, it's not something that you think about or have to access until you need to access it, either for yourself or a family member. So I think this is a really helpful overview. So thank you so much. I will open the floor to questions for Trustee Zhang, if there are any. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kate.
Hi. I do have to think about this because I do this as my job. So I have a few things that I want to highlight that I think are really important when considering this kind of work. And then I will start by saying that the HGSB website is enormous and a huge amount of work, and trying to tackle this kind of web accessibility work on any kind of substantial site is an enormous undertaking, and really it's almost impossible to do it perfectly, and clearly the board is doing their best to achieve what they can, but this is a really hard target. There are specific levels of web accessibility, some of them required by law in Ontario for various kinds of sites and services. Depending on the kind of service you offer and the kind of website you offer, you have to meet different levels of these web accessibility guidelines, and some of them are incredibly difficult to meet. So I'll start by saying, even though the presentation was clear about all kinds of things to take into account, the actual execution of this is very hard. Probably you already think that, but it is very, very hard to do well, especially if you are not a person who has to think about using these tools or the effect that these tools have, or these challenges of web accessibility have on a day-to-day basis. Even things like the foreground and background colors that you choose have a huge impact on whether or not someone can actually access the content effectively. And so it's a huge job. That said, I think there's a couple of things that I have noticed on the HGSB website in particular that I think are worth flagging for this kind of project moving forward. One is that the website uses a service called Accessibility, which is a third-party paid service that introduces a whole bunch of tools into the website. It does a whole bunch of things for you, which again, on a site of this scale, is a huge deal, a huge help in terms of doing a whole bunch of the hard work for you and making a whole bunch of tools available to every single person that accesses the site, whether or not they have their own tools set up on their device. So that's great. My experience is sometimes that can be a crutch. That means that we're not doing as much work on looking at individual content pages and individual pieces of content and making sure that they work effectively, and trusting these services and their automated way that they manage accessibility without someone actually going through and seeing what the content looks like for someone who has to use a screen reader or needs to have certain kinds of contrast features or different kinds of screen sizes and fonts. And without that extra human-driven work of seeing what the experience is really like, there can be some not very nice things happen that pass technically accessibility guidelines. Like if you ran them through an accessibility checker, they would meet the legal requirements for accessibility because technically they do all the things that the legal requirements say that have to happen on the page, but the actual usability of the page is impacted. So I'm going to give a very simple example. There is on the front page of the HGSB website a link to the multi-year strategic plan. And it has a title, an image, and then a link with text. Now, the image on its own, on a mobile device, the text is too small to read. It has alternative text, but the alternative text is exactly the same as the other text surrounding it. That means someone using a screen reader who cannot see the image is getting the exact same content repeated 3 times. Twice of the same link, that they're seeing exactly the same link with exactly the same words twice in a row. And so legally, we're following the guidelines. They've provided alternative text to the image, but the alternative text that's been chosen is not a good experience for the person who is using it. And so yes, it meets all the guidelines. It does all the things, crosses all the T's, but it isn't a good experience for that end user. And it's the kind of thing that you really cannot capture if you don't have someone experiencing the site from the perspective of someone who doesn't see the site the way that we do. So that's my comment.
Hi. Thank you, Catherine. Because I have been working in IT field for more than 30 years. And so I do a lot of software development, and I'm familiar with those technologies. Or also, I know the evolution of those accessibility technologies. And so at this time, HDSB will have some new design for the website, but it's ongoing work. And so for the new improvements, we already provide some feedback about accessibility. So I believe it will be enhanced in the future. Let's just look at waiting for the new website.
I'd like to make a comment. I think the challenges in this space speak to kind of the need for it to be in the foundation of this education when we're talking about coding, and how like you introduce this from the very beginning, because as Kate said, you know, unless you're using it yourself, you're not always experiencing it the way anyone who has to access it will be. And so I think it speaks to the foundation of, you know, having this as part of that education, of that experience from the very beginning, because it's a lot harder to go back and try and correct this than build it with accessibility in mind from the beginning. So that being said, I know we have coding in schools from elementary. Do you know, Colette, whether that lens of accessibility is introduced from an early age? Because I think that this speaks to how important it is to have it almost be like part of a holistic process.
Yeah, great question. I can't speak about coding specifically and accessibility, but I can speak about accessibility in general and how that's being taught in the classroom. So when students are making presentations, for example, our teachers will build in some accessibility principles in that UDL approach for students in their final products. So those that underlying foundation of understanding accessibility is being built into the classroom. Coding, I can't speak to, but yeah.
Thank you. I think that just that for us, for SEAC here, you know, the earlier when we introduce this into our kids and families, you know, the more seamless it becomes. So definitely appreciate this. Thank you, Trustee Zhang. Is there anyone else who has any questions or comments? Okay, great. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now at item 3.0, which is the SEAC discussion question period. So we'll open the floor now to see if anyone has any specific questions or topics they would like to raise. If you do, please raise your hands, either digitally or in person, the three of us in the room. I have one question outside of kind of, it's for our next meeting. I know we're encouraging, if people are able, next month to come in person for a meal beforehand. I know it's important for Laura to get numbers. Is there anything you need from committee members outside of an RSVP?
Thanks for that question. And I had that on my list to talk about, so you've got one thing off my my SO report, but I'm not sure. I know Laura has circulated a questionnaire around any dietary restrictions or anything else we need to be aware of in preparation of the meeting. So I'm not sure if there's anything else that we that we need for our planning, other than just a confirmation of whether people are going to come in person, or the option to join virtually will still be present as well.
Thank you. And if transportation's an issue for anyone, Kate, I actually think you live in the Orchard. I live in Halton Village, so if you need a drive, I can pick you up.
That would actually be amazing, because I don't have a car normally on Wednesdays, and the only way I can get one is roping grandma in.
So yeah, if any members are having issues, not necessarily with time, but with transportation, maybe we can figure that out. Any other questions or topics for discussion that anyone would like to bring up? Okay, well, now we are at item 4.0, communications to SEAC. Item 4.1 is the superintendent's report. So we have all received a written report from Colette, and we will ask her now to provide a brief summary of the report. And if we have any questions, just let her know, please.
Super. So originally we were going to have Roxanne Ngoy come and present the budget. I've got a little message from her in lieu of her attending tonight, and she is coming to our May meeting. So she says, given the snap election in February, the Legislative Assembly of Ontario had its first session just on April 14th, pushing the timelines of the release of the core education funding from the end of March to mid-April, which is so we would typically have it by now, to the end of April or mid-May. So at this point, there are not a lot of updates until the education funding is released to the sector. We have started the budget planning process with a focus on balancing the budget without making any significant reductions. So we are in a better situation this year than last, most certainly. And trying to maintain the status quo, reallocating resources where possible in order to meet student needs. What we know is that the HDSB is in a declining enrollment in both panels, elementary and secondary, which leads to a reduction in funding overall. In education, we expect the current funding pressures to continue. These include funding to cover supply staff costs, federally mandated statutory benefits, inflation and market impact on costs, special education funding, and student transportation. Once the core education funding is released, we hope to have more information and updates, discussions at Committee of the Whole on May 20th and a SEAC on May 21st before a final budget is presented to the Board of Trustees in June. So we look forward to a robust conversation next month when Roxana will join us to provide a fulsome overview. And we will also be looking at our special education plan, which will be circulated to you at the beginning of May so that you have lots of opportunity to have a read before our meeting in May, and that it comes back again in June for a vote of support or non-support. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Conan. He's going to give you two updates, one on structured reading in secondary schools and the special athletic track meet.
Thank you, Colette. I'll start with the track meet first. So I'm excited to share that planning is well underway for our special athletic track meet. We know it's a truly inspiring event that brings all our elementary students together from across our board. We're also pleased to announce that we'll have participants from the EC Drury School for the Deaf. Historically, we've had over 600 students attend this event. This is the 38th annual track meet. So it's a long-standing tradition that we've had with celebrating all of our abilities. We're grateful to the staff and students and volunteers from Beverly Carr Public School who will be there to help support. And we'll also be partnering with the Optimist Club, who will once again provide food for the event. That's a generous donation by them. Schools will be given details very shortly, and that will be sent out to the schools so we can make sure all students have the ability and the opportunity to participate in this fun event. It is on June 13th at Garth Webb High School. It's a Friday. Secondly, I'd just like to talk a little bit about some structured reading that we're doing. So we have, as I mentioned before, 3 structured reading coaches in our system. Our structured reading coaches will be delivering a 2-day training session this May. It will be geared towards secondary educators and secondary teachers. The focus is on the Wilson Reading System and Tier 3 literacy supports. The goal of this training is to ensure a seamless transition of structured literacy intervention from elementary to secondary. So we've had a very strong focus on our elementary staff. in working with the Wilson Reading System and incorporating those Tier 3 supports. And we really want to keep that momentum going. So we are looking at training and providing even additional support that we've already given to our secondary teachers to make sure so when our students transition from grade 7, 8 and up into 9 and 10, that they're receiving that the same level of support and service. We're going to have over 30 secondary teachers participate in this training in May. And we're going to continue to build on that capacity in the fall and expand and deepen that knowledge with continued training and support in September and October. So I just thought I would want to share that tidbit of news as well too. Thank you.
Thanks, Conan. And then just the last piece that I'll touch on is summer learning. In the past, we have received funding from the ministry to run some summer learning supports. Most recently, we've been providing educational assistance to programming that's run through the school programs departments. I'm not sure whether we're just not receiving funds this year or, again, for the same reasons that the budget is delayed, we haven't heard about summer funding. So our plans are on hold at this time, but there's certainly a lot of robust plans that are underway with our elementary and secondary school programs that all students can access. But we will be supporting some summer assessments to address some of our wait lists for speech and language assessments and for psych assessments. So we're just currently gathering that data, and we'll have a better sense of how many assessments we'll be doing by May or June SEAC, and look forward to getting those done over the summer.
Great, thank you. Quick question for you, Conan, about the Special Athletics Day. I know in previous years we had opened it up to SEAC members. Is that an opportunity for SEAC members to come this year and see it as well?
Yeah, that would be absolutely awesome. We'd be happy to have even just SEAC members visit or even help volunteer.
Absolutely.
So what I can do is I'll connect with Laura and we can send out a communication about that. We are going to be sending direct communication to our schools in the next week or so. So I will also combine that with a communication to SEAC as well.
Amazing. And as someone who has gone the last 3 years, if you do not have a child who's in the elementary grades who attends this and you have the opportunity to come as a SEAC member, I can tell you it is the most joyous day. It is so uplifting and just wonderful. If you have the opportunity to come or stop by, I highly encourage you to go. It's absolutely wonderful. Okay, we are now at item 4.2, the association reports. So please indicate by raising your hand if you would like to share anything from your association this evening. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any updates from the associations. Now we are at item 4.3, which is the trustees report. Trustee Zhang, do you have an update?
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, there are two updates. The first is HDSB conduct Have Your Say survey every year. And this year, the survey will launch on April 28th. The survey is in multiple languages for different for parents from different culture, different country to easy access. And this survey has two groups. And one group is from kindergarten to grade 3, and the other group from grade 4 to grade 12. If parents for students grade 4 to grade 12, they don't want school board to collect those data, and parents can sign online opt-out form by April 28th. For students in the kindergarten to grade 3, so parents and guardians can complete the survey. And previous survey data can be found on HDSB website. And the second is for the courtesy seat of school bus. And for students who are not eligible for the school bus, this is at the time to apply for the courtesy seats. And the deadline for application is June 30th. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 4.4, committee reports. So at this time, I'll go through the list of standing committees and ask for updates from the SEAC representatives on these committees. So the Accessibility and Coordinating Committee, we have not had a meeting. I'm a representative since the last SEAC meeting, which Carol updated everyone with. There will be an on-site visit next month on the 22nd. So there should be, oh no, we're meeting the 21st, so you'll get your update in June. The next one will be the Mental Health and Wellbeing Strategy Steering and Advisory Committee.
Yep.
Kate?
That's me. So we're meeting fast now. There are 2 more meetings before the end of the year. As I mentioned last time, they're updating their 3-year plan for mental health and well-being. I am struggling a bit with bringing information back to the committee because I think the only member on the committee that does not have an HGSB email address, they have to give me temporary access during the meeting to the documents, and I lose access at the end. And that's made it really difficult to bring anything forward to this group. I would say the mental health and well-being strategy, the current one, is on the HGSB website. If anyone has anything that they would like to comment on that one, that they would like me to bring forward, or any general discussion of priorities that they would like me to represent on your behalf, I'm happy to bring that position with me to the next 2 meetings. I think there hasn't been anything controversial or difficult or anything of a particular concern. Certainly the needs of students with special needs is part of this plan, and so they are being recognized in the list of sort of prioritizing the diverse needs of people who may need support for mental health and well-being. The last meeting that we had was prioritizing specific areas because they, over the 3 years, they're not going to tackle everything exactly evenly over the 3 years. So it's sort of picking areas to focus on and improve over each of the 3 years. So the meeting that we just had was really about picking areas that seemed to be hotspots that maybe we're most in need of more urgently being addressed. And the first meeting that we had was just an overall updating of the wording. There was not a huge change in strategy. A lot of it really was tweaking wording, and in particular, the inclusivity of the wording of some of the elements of the plan. I don't know if that, I know that wasn't very helpful, but again, it's hard for me to figure out what to bring forward. I will try at the next meeting to see if they can provide me with anything that I could take away from the meeting and summarize to report better for the next meeting. Does anyone have any questions?
Thanks, Kate. I don't think there are any questions. Okay, we're now at item 5.0. So we are looking for any items that committee members would like added to the upcoming agenda. So I guess next month is actually going to be quite full. But if anyone has any burning topics that they'd like. Yep, Melissa.
Hi, I'd just like to add a little bit about the Easter Seals Red Shirt Day. That is usually the first week in June. So I'll be just sharing a very brief bit of information about it, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. So we have exhausted our agenda. We are now at 6.0. So we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting with a reminder again that our next meeting will be May 21st at the usual time, 7 p.m. But again, we are inviting all members of SEAC to join us here at the board office for dinner at 6 p.m. And we encourage everyone to RSVP so Laura can get a sense of numbers and dietary restrictions. And then I think more information will be provided as we get closer. And again, I think if transportation is an issue, we can see if we can sort it out amongst members of SEAC. Anyway, all right, great. Thank you. Everyone have a great night and thank you for attending.